That was the only warning. The storm broke fully. Orbital platforms the Karzul had deployed around Vera IX were reduced to molten shards in moments. The Karzul ships tried to form ranks, but each formation was ripped apart before it could stabilize. What had been an invincible Dominion armada became scattered wreckage in minutes. Annihilation without delay. There was no time for the Karzul to even scream for help. Their communication relays were destroyed in the opening salvo. The message they had crafted, the triumphant report of human slaughter, never left the fleet. Instead, the last words the Dominion capital would ever receive from Zathker were static, a shriek of fire, and then silence. Human ground forces descended in drop pods that struck the colony's surface like falling stars. Where the Karzul had herded human survivors for amusement, armored Terran soldiers emerged, weapons spitting white fire. Karzul execution squads were erased before they could react. The survivors watched as their tormentors were obliterated in a storm of steel and fury. And then, just as quickly as it began, the battlefield fell still. Human banners rose over the ashes of Vera IX, not in triumph but in mourning and warning. The retaliation was finished before the Karzul could even understand what had happened. Their arrogance had been swift. Humanity's vengeance was swifter. The aftermath of silence. When the shattered remains of the Dominion ships drifted lifeless across Vera IX's orbit, the humans did not linger. They collected survivors, recorded evidence, and then vanished back into the blackness. The stars themselves seemed quieter in the wake of what had occurred. Only fragments of Karzul vessels remained, scattered like bones across the void. Those few who survived whispered to one another, their confidence broken, their pride shattered. They knew the truth now. Earth did not wait, Earth did not debate, Earth did not forgive. Word spread, carried not by official reports but by rumor, by broken survivors who stumbled home with tales of human fleets that moved faster than thought, of retaliation that struck before their message of triumph could even be sent. And with those rumors came a phrase that spread like a shadow across the galaxy. Never provoke Earth again. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity's patience was vast, but their vengeance was infinite. And when their retaliation came, it arrived swifter than fear itself. The alien fleet descended on the human colony of Kessara Prime with laughter echoing through their comms. To the Varathi Dominion, it was not war, it was entertainment. Kessara was a frontier world, lightly defended, mostly populated by families of farmers, miners, and engineers who believed peace treaties would keep them safe. But to the Varathi, that peace was weakness, and weakness begged to be punished. The first salvo cut through orbital satellites like paper. Civilian transports, still docked in orbit, exploded in brilliant blossoms of fire, their screams cut short as air rushed from ruptured hulls. On the ground, the Varathi deployed plasma bombardments on city centers, watching the night sky glow red with burning homes. They transmitted live feeds back to their command council, laughing at the desperation of unarmed humans scrambling for shelters. Their commander, Lord Kersh, sneered as his flagship hovered above the capital. "Pathetic mammals," he muttered. "This is no conquest, this is cleansing." The Varathi made no distinction between soldiers and civilians. They executed surrendering officials, crushed medical stations, and broadcast their deeds across the stars as if daring Earth to respond. To them it was a message: humanity was fragile, humanity was prey. But the message never reached home. Mockery in the void. In the aftermath, the Varathi celebrated. Their ships lounged in orbit like vultures perched upon a carcass, feasting on the misery below. Kersh allowed his officers to hold a feast aboard the flagship. They filled their halls with trophies, human trinkets, fragments of shattered ships, even personal holoscreens ripped from the hands of the dead. "Earth will hear of this and cower," said one captain, raising a glass of dark, bitter ichor. "They will beg for mercy," another added. Kersh smirked. "They are too civilized. Their laws bind them. They will deliberate, negotiate, hesitate. By the time they decide to answer, we will already be raiding their next colony." The Varathi laughed again, their voices sharp and cruel. To them, humans were a minor species who had risen too quickly, spreading too far, and now needed to be reminded of their place. Their arrogance was absolute. They never once considered that Earth might be listening already. They never wondered whether retaliation was already on its way. The silence breaks. Hours after the first human distress beacon was cut off, Earth received fragments of the attack, fractured visuals of burning cities and orbital debris. No full message ever arrived. But it was enough. Across Earth's defense network, the response was immediate. Silent orders passed through encrypted channels. Black-draped admirals, cold-eyed and without ceremony, unleashed fleets that had long waited in shadow. The galaxy believed humanity's strength lay only in trade and diplomacy. They forgot the arsenals built during the silent expansion. They forgot the dreadnought yards hidden beneath Europa's ice, the strike wings stationed on Titan's black plains, and the fleets concealed in dark interstellar space, cloaked and patient. Now the silence ended. One by one, human battle groups emerged from folded space. The sky near Kessara darkened as ships larger than cities cut through the void. Their hulls bore no banners, only matte black armor and weapons that glowed with restrained fury. A single transmission pierced the Varathi channels. "Your act has been seen. Your blood will answer it. Retaliation arrives before your coward's message home does." Kersh froze on his command throne. For the first time, fear cracked his sneer. Because retaliation had already arrived. The storm unleashed. The first human volley was not a warning. It was annihilation. Kinetic lances, rods of tungsten accelerated to near-light velocity, tore through Varathi cruisers, splitting them open like fruit. Entire formations disintegrated before they realized battle had begun. The dreadnought Vigil's wrath descended from folded space like a falling star. Its opening barrage shredded 3 Varathi destroyers in seconds. Human strike craft poured into the fray, wings of sleek fighters darting between Varathi hulls, planting charges that ripped ships apart from within. The Varathi's laughter died in screams. Their weapons were powerful but disorganized. They had come to massacre farmers, not fight soldiers. Against Earth's fury, their defenses crumbled like sand under storm tides. On the ground, the surviving Varathi garrisons turned their plasma cannons toward the skis, desperate to repel descending transports. But the human marines who landed were not civilians. They were soldiers forged in steel and silence, clad in exosuits that moved like gods among mortals. Every Varathi who set foot on Kessara burned under the retribution of Earth's infantry. Above, Kersh howled orders, demanding his fleet regroup. But one by one, his ships blinked out of existence in spheres of fire. The message he had hoped to send to the Dominion never left his flagship. His long-range transmitters were disabled with surgical precision. Humanity had cut his tongue before he could beg for rescue. The Varathi had believed they were the predators. Now they realized they were prey. Fire across the stars. Retaliation did not end at Kasara. Humanity did not simply defend, they advanced. Earth's High Command unleashed Operation Revenant. Within hours, strike fleets punched into Varathi territory. Warp points, shipyards and supply depots that had stood unchallenged for centuries burned in sudden silence. Entire Varathi garrisons were obliterated before reports could reach Central Command. By the time their council heard rumors of battle, entire sectors were already lost. A Varathi warlord panicked, demanded a counterattack. His forces mustered, only to find human fleets already waiting, as if Earth had studied their every move. The truth spread like a plague. Humanity's retaliation traveled faster than the Varathi's pleas for aid. Every time they tried to send a message, Earth's fleet struck first, burning the transmitter arrays before the words could leave. It was not war, it was execution. In system after system, suns were blotted out by black-armored dreadnoughts. Human orbital cannons rained destruction like divine judgment. Entire Varathi worlds fell into silence. Survivors whispered in fear. The humans did not pause, did not negotiate, did not leave warnings. They struck and they vanished, leaving only wreckage behind. The final silence. On the Varathi homeworld, the council gathered in terror. For the first time in centuries, they faced an enemy who answered arrogance with annihilation. They sent out envoys under white flags, desperate to beg for peace. But Earth never answered their pleas. Humanity's silence was colder than any threat. Weeks later, human fleets arrived in orbit of Varath Prime itself. No words were spoken, no demands made. Dreadnoughts opened fire, their weapons reducing the Council's citadel to molten glass in moments. The Varathi's reign ended not with defiance, but with a whimper drowned in thunder.